Gotta go to the toilet. Tactical shit deployed. I think the better spot to sit is on that other hill. For a shoreline, this map is running so fucking well right now, cunt. Holy shit. Like, what? In the last few days, this map has been like optimized, I swear to god. Like, ever since I started playing on this, it was like shit, and it's just been getting better. But I did start doing that empty standby list. That shit is actually fucking working. Oh, and a shaky scope. How many am I at? Overpopulation. 7 out of 12. We're getting there. Might just start buying cheap milk. I'm buying, spending so much money on this fucking milk. $3.90 for a litre and a half. I could just spend like $4.50 on 3 litres. $5 on 3 litres. Save some more money. I'm drinking this much fucking milk, I may as well. Suka, Johann. Ganaschka, Deutschka. No, we should get the other spot. One has been through. Yeah. They're avoiding the hill. They've avoided the hill. Oh my god. I need a coffee. Got no milk. I have a black coffee.
Electromagnetic radiation, what we call light. He also realized that the inverse must be true, as light entered the eye and fell on the retina. The oscillations of the light must cause electrons in atoms in the eye to jiggle, and it is this jiggling of electrons in the eye sent as signals to the brain that we perceive as vision. Finally, Maxwell understood what it was that was waving, and what caused the waves. And one more thing. He knew that light had waves with a length of about 1/1,000,000th of a meter, but his equations showed no limitation on the wavelength of his electromagnetic waves. And so he concluded that there must be light with both long and short wavelengths that is invisible to the eye. It would take 2 more decades for the answer to this puzzle to present itself, decades in which Maxwell died of cancer at the age of only 48.
No.
In 1886, Heinrich Hertz, working at the University of Karlsruhe, was the first to find these invisible waves. Named Hertzian waves after their discoverer, a new revolution had been born. We now refer to these Hertzian waves as radio. Hertz was understandably very pleased with his discovery, but when asked about the practical use these radio waves have, he apparently responded, "Nothing, I guess." And yet, it was these radio waves that only a few years later
Scavs?
Marconi was using to send messages across miles, and then across counties, oceans, and all across the immensity of the globe. In 1909, Marconi received the Nobel Prize for his work on wireless telegraphy. Hertz, however, died in 1894 at the youthful age of 36, never seeing the true promise of his discovery. The world was set to become full of invisible light as the 20th century began, and the mystery of light's properties seemed settled. That was until 1905, and a remarkable year for one German patent clerk. The universe continued to change and evolve as our particle of light traveled. The mixture of light joining it on its journey reflected that change, bursts of radio waves and high-energy gamma rays becoming more and more frequent. This energy surged through space, much of it flowing between the stars and into the darkness. But some encountered lone atoms in the emptiness of the void. The low-energy radio waves very gently shook and energized these atoms, like a calm ocean wave lapping at a sandy shore, just as we would expect from Maxwell's picture of electromagnetic waves. But the behavior of the high-energy gamma rays was different. They delivered their energy to the atoms with a violent
Where they at though? No, that's... Yeah. That's a scav. Oh shit. Might just take that one kill and leave. My hose. Yeah, fuck it. I'll take it. It's gonna take me a minute, but fuck it. Goons is gonna be the fucking shit part.
Punch that ripped electrons clean away, not a lapping ripple, but an isolated smash. The gamma rays hit the atoms. Not like waves, but like hard, little, energetic particles. But how? Could Maxwell be wrong? Could, on some occasions, light be more like Newton's vision and act like a particle? And if so, just what would those occasions be? For the present, we have to work on both theories. On Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, we use the wave theory. On Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays, we think in streams of flying energy quanta, or corpuscles. Alfred Nobel had made his fortune through his inventions and his businesses, especially in the field of explosives and weapons. And so, perhaps not unfairly, in an 1888 obituary in a French newspaper, he was called the Merchant of Death. This surprised Nobel, firstly as he was still very much alive, but secondly, and more distressingly, because he realized what his historical legacy was to be. So, in his will, he decided to leave most of his fortune to a series of prizes. Prizes that would honor those that have conferred the greatest benefit to humankind. Across science, the Nobel Prizes are perhaps the most prestigious, the list of winners replete with the giants of science over more than a century. And in 1901, the inaugural Nobel Prize in Physics was awarded to the German Wilhelm Röntgen for his discoveries about the nature of light. For it was he who discovered the X-ray. Röntgen's experiments with various materials found that only the densest could halt X-rays. He even managed to convince his wife, Bertha, to place her hand in the beam, after realizing his X-rays should stream through her flesh, but be partly blocked by her denser bones, thus producing the first X-ray photograph. Whilst it was suspected that X-rays were electromagnetic radiation with a wavelength much smaller than visible light, as opposed to radar, which was much longer, it took several decades to conclusively show that this was the case. Although in the meantime, the medical application of X-rays to fix bones and save lives grew without bounds. And so this meant that by the early 1900s, Maxwell's vision of electromagnetic waves beyond the visible had been undoubtedly confirmed, all of light's secrets uncovered. Even the electron having been discovered. All that remained was to find the rest of the light we could not see, gamma rays, microwaves and more, to fill out the last gaps on the electromagnetic spectrum and wrap up the story. But of course, if physics feels that the job is done, a rude shock is usually just around the corner. In Maxwell's picture of light, it could be thought of as a continuous wave. Scientists had found that when light crashed into most materials, it continuously dumped energy that energized electrons, causing them to be emitted. This was called the photoelectric effect. By lowering the intensity of light, it took longer for energy to be deposited, and it usually took longer for the electrons to begin to be spat out. Usually. For that was not what was observed when light was shone on certain metals. Electrons would seemingly be ejected instantaneously from the metal's surface. And the really confusing observation came from adjusting the color of the light